In the previous chapter, you would have understood the basic operators we have in Java. And now we'll go ahead and do some hands-on exercises. Before we do hands-on exercises, unlike in the previous section where we used to write the Java code in a text editor and do compilation using a command line environment, we will basically get introduced to an IDE. IDE is an integrated development environment, which is useful tool for development of a Java programming and you can easily write and maintain all the code in one single project, and as well as you can compile and run everything in one single utility. So that's the basic concept of an IDE, and we will be using IntelliJ IDEA, which is a well-known IDE in the Java space. So in this particular chapter, I will walk you through the steps that are required for installing or rather downloading the IntelliJ Community Edition. Then we will see how to install and configure the IDE. So please ensure you complete this hands-on so that you will have the necessary development environment in your systems. In this hands-on, let us look at how to install IntelliJ IDEA, which is an IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. This is basically a tool which can be used for developing, like where you can write the Java code. You can also compile, because we have been using the normal Java compiler in the command line options so far. We also used JDoodle in the initial exercises, but shifted to the normal command line tools, which was basically provided to people to understand how the Java class actually gets compiled, and then how you can basically do the execution using the command line tools. But using this tool or using just a command line tool will not be efficient for large projects. And when you have too many files, it will be too very difficult and it may not be efficient. And also, it is not about just compilation. If you want to do some debugging, right? You want to know what is the code executing and what are the variables being assigned, blah, blah, blah. So there are various elements which are very much interesting in a tool like IDE. You can basically use these features and ensure that you develop a code or develop the Java code more effectively and faster. So that is the reason we have various IDEs, and IntelliJ is one of the IDE which is popular, and we will be using IntelliJ in this training. In addition to this, we have Eclipse, which is another popular tool which can be used, and various other IDEs are also available. And IntelliJ IDEA is something which can be basically used as well, and we are using the community edition, so you don't have to buy anything. We'll use the free edition which is available, and we'll see how to install and configure this in our video here. So you need to open the browser and go to www.jetbrains.com. So jetbrains.com, so this is basically the company who have created IntelliJ IDEA, and here you can go to developer tools and click on IntelliJ IDEA, and you get an option here for agree. You can just say agree for the cookies, and then you can basically click on download. So you can click the latest version to be downloaded. So you have two options. One is IntelliJ IDEA Ultimate, which is a paid edition. You also have an evaluation 30-day free trial that would come into picture. So in case you want to try, you can use, but for our basic course, this is not really required. So if you scroll down, you can basically look at IntelliJ Community Edition, which is a free edition which can be used for our programming and which is sufficient for us. In addition to this, on the top you would see the operating system that you would like to select. So you can select Windows, Mac or Linux. I am using Windows, so I will use Windows option. If you have other operating systems, you could also download the relevant files based on your operating system also. For example, for Linux, you will have an option to download a tarball, or if you want to use Mac OS, you have an option to download a DMG file, and you also have Windows, which gives you option to download an executable or a zip file as well. I always recommend to use a zip file, so it is more easier. You don't need to really worry about installing the executable and doing that installation, and we don't know what are the files it is installing, and instead of all those confusion, I always say, okay, if you have a zip option, just download the zip and extract it, which is a simple mechanism, and you know all the files of this particular project or this particular utility is present in one single place. That is what I usually go with. Okay, so I'll basically go ahead and download the zip file. So the moment you select this particular file, you would see that there is a direct link that would be available, and as well as it will automatically prompt you to download and save this. You can save this. I have already downloaded the file for this particular demo. So first, once it is downloaded, so you should see the file present in your downloads folder. So for example, if you go to downloads folder, you should see the file something like this. So what you can do, you can copy or paste, cut and paste into the Java Labs folder. So we'll put it in Java Labs so that it's more easier. So all our files, everything will be in one central place. Okay. So I have now brought it here. So all I have to do is extract or unzip the files. So all I can do is I can use an utility like 7-zip or any other extraction utility, and I'm using 7-zip in my system here, and you could say extract to this IDEA folder. So it will take some time. I think it is extracting. So now it just brings up this, and after a few seconds this would be extracted. Okay, the file is extracted now, and you see this IDEA CWin folder, and under this the files of IDEA IDE is available. IntelliJ IDE is available. Now under bin you would see an executable called idea64.exe, and this is the executable that you need to run in order to bring up the IDE. You also have an option where you can basically use the relevant executable in case you are basically using Mac or you're using Linux. So you would see that the respective binaries will be present, and you can open the respective binaries. Okay. So now let me double click and open this IntelliJ IDE. Oops, I did a mistake here. Okay. Okay. Let's wait for the IntelliJ IDEA to come up. Once you start the IntelliJ IDEA IDE, so you should see the welcome screen as you see here, and then you have an option to create a new project or open an existing project or get it from VCS. We'll see this later. How to configure a version control system, we'll talk about it later in the next course. And then a quick tour, if you want, you can just take a look at it. And then you also have an option to customize this. So you have different themes. For example, you want to use dark theme or light theme, and what IDE font you want, etc. So those things you can do. And you have various plugins, so you can also download different plugins depending on your requirement. For now, you don't have to worry much, so we just leave it as it is. And then some interactive courses that are there to learn how to use IDE and how to use the different tools that we have in this IDE. So these are some of the help and resources that are available as well. So I will customize rather. If you want, you can leave it at dark, but I want a light with light header. So this is what the theme which I use generally. So I will use this, and I'll go and create a new project. So we can go ahead and click this new project icon here and create a new project. So here you can specify the location where the project has to be created. So you can give a name for our Java Essentials Blueprint, right? So Java Essentials ESS Blueprint. And then you could say where it has to be created. So by default it gives a location, so you can just take and then say I want to create in a location which is Java Labs. So you can specify this Java Labs. And then don't worry about the Git repository. We'll again talk about Git in the later courses. And language is Java. So we'll click Java. You also have an option to create different languages as well. So for now, let's focus on Java. And build system is IntelliJ. So you can use IntelliJ, and we'll create a basic IntelliJ project here. In the future courses, we'll also see how to use Maven, which is another tool. So there is a separate course I have lined up, which is about DevOps tools. So in that particular course, I will explain about these tools in general. So for now, let's create an IntelliJ project. And coming to the JDK, we can choose the JDK version of our choice. So we can go and say what JDK I want to use. We already have the JDK installed in the Java Labs folder. So we could click add JDK and click on Java Labs and point to JDK 21, which we have already installed and configured in the previous labs. So let's go ahead and click OK. So this ensures that we basically select Java 21 JDK for this particular IDE as well as our programming environment. And if you want, you can generate certain code or some sample code. If you want, you can just leave it as it is, and you could basically go ahead and click create. So this will create a basic Java Blueprint project. All right, so now we see this IDE has come up, and I'm having this particular environment ready. Okay, so what it has created, let's just take a look at it. We have a basic Java ESS Essentials Blueprint project created. Under that, we have a source main class, which is basically created. So SRC stands for the source files. So all our Java files can be under SRC directory. Okay, so now you see the project is created, and it has created a file called main.java under SRC folder, and you would see this main.java containing a main method, the standard Java method which we have been using as an entry point, and it also has a simple message to print hello and welcome, and it is printing some numbers. We will see this for statement later on. So for now, we can just run this program. So in order to run this program, you have an option where don't worry about this breakpoint as well. So we will talk about this breakpoint and things like that later on. I will remove this also for now because we have not discussed this. So let me delete this for now and have only one statement, hello and welcome. So once you have this Java file, you can just save this file. So this would be present under Java ESS Blueprint folder. So if you go to our folder here, so if you go to our Java Labs, so we have created Java ESS Essentials Blueprint project. Under this, there is a source folder. Under the source folder, main.java. So this is the place where it will store this particular file, and the same thing with the project as well. So all the project related settings, etc., will be present here. So you don't have to worry much about it. So all you have to do is just access these files from the IDE. So we don't need the file explorer, command prompt, and then command line to utility, etc., for compilation. So it's pretty simple. All you have to do is just right click on this particular area here, and then you have an option run main method inside the main class. So here you see main, first main is nothing but the name of the class dot main method, and or you could also use Control Shift F10, which is a shortcut. So when you click on this, you might observe what happens. So let's wait and see. So you could also maximize this screen just to ensure you'll be able to get more space. So you can just take a look at it, and now let us see. You would see in the bottom building happening. So it is building the environment, building the file, compiling the file, and then it will run or execute the Java code in one step. So initially it will take some time, but within few seconds you should see this program has been successfully executed. So this is what you expect even when you run this from the command line. Same thing is executed here. So this is a very simple exercise or hands-on where I talked about installing, configuring and setting up IntelliJ IDEA. Please ensure you complete this hands-on, and then we will create a new project, or not project, we already created a project. So we will create a new file for the next hands-on. So the next hands-on is on basic operators. So we will write a simple program in IDE. So henceforth we will create all our Java programs within the IDE, and we will execute all of them within the IDE. And I will explain about other tools like how to debug, etc. in the further chapters. All right. Thank you, and see you in the next chapter. But before going there, please ensure you complete this hands-on and have the setup of IntelliJ IDEA Community Edition in your systems. And I see you in the next lesson.